Welcome to Sunday evening.
Sunday evenings. It's almost time for The Simpsons.
Are The Simpsons still on?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Approaching its 30th year.
30th? Is it seriously 30 years?
Started in 89, so yeah.
Anyway, no fucking around. This is the show Slow Readers.
This is Slow Readers. Welcome to your weekly fast-paced literature podcast brought to you by Top Gallant Radio, where the conversation's always on the printed word.
It's always about the printing press.
It's always about word to your mothers.
It's kind of about. It's always about. It's always been a word up.
It's always about Mamma Mia's ABBA soundtrack.
It's about zines.
It's about Italian stereotypes.
Are zines not really around that much anymore?
I don't know. Guest, have you seen a zine lately? Guest?
He's gone.
Oh,
Bill.
I just purchased a digital zine off of Venmo, so it's like the most millennial throwback to the zine.
I love that. Why are we not doing that, Daniel?
But throwback, you said, right?
Millennial nostalgia.
It's like retro future.
I like it.
Kind of like. Yeah, whatever.
Kind of like how vinyl is back and bad.
Gabriel?
Yes, Daniel.
We're going to turn away from our guest for a moment because we haven't introduced him yet. It's not
my
time
goodness.
yet.
Oh my goodness.
You should jump the gun here.
I'll jump any gun I want.
Okay, first off, Slow Readers.
Yeah.
Top Gallant Radio.
Totally.
Show, program.
Yeah.
I'm saying program. What am I, fucking English?
Yeah, it's a program.
It's a program.
We're like C++.
With an M-E at the end of that.
Sure.
And we talk about books.
Yeah.
We already went through that.
Yep.
We should
introduce ourselves.
We should introduce ourselves.
We should Saoirse Ronan ourselves.
Saoirse Ronan.
Saoirse Ronan.
I had to take off my one can of the ear.
You always do.
Well, it is noise cancellation, so I can't hear you.
That's a fair point.
But, all right. But, no, first off, introduce ourselves. That's what we should do.
Yeah.
I am Daniel Gonzalez.
Hello, Daniel.
Writer.
Mm-hmm.
Audio producer.
Yeah.
Audio editor.
Mm-hmm.
And author.
That's very true.
Gabriel, who are you?
Hello, listeners. My name is Gabriel Mara. I'm a comedian. I'm a producer. I'm a writer. I'm a podcaster and a private party bartender.
Ooh, fancy. Rent them out, ladies.
Hey, ladies, if you need me to bartend your ultra-masculine baby shower, which is something I actually did,
yeah, it is.
I'm here for you.
It's not a joke.
Yeah, there was one penis out.
And boys, if you want
wasn't mine.
If you want to, and they told you to put it away, and then you're arrested. And you're not welcome back in the city.
That's fine.
We're going to sneak back there in a couple of weeks.
That's true.
Gabriel.
Yes, Daniel.
Gabriel.
Ew.
We have a guest.
We have a guest.
And the guest is not in the room.
No.
The guest is in our imaginations.
True.
The guest is in our perception of a virtual reality, where basically things that people might not necessarily have agreed are real, we're going to perceive as an actual individual with a personality, a life, a gender, and an identity.
Or our guest is like Enzo and Bob
Ferrari?
and Dot. All people who live inside a computer, like in the show Reboot.
Is that what that was?
Yes.
Who's Enzo?
Enzo's the little kid who ends up becoming the badass Enzo Matrix with one eye and a big fucking gun.
Is he named after Ferrari?
Maybe.
Anyway.
What do I look like? An expert on fucking Reboot?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
First off, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know any others.
Was Reboot... Because I remember back in the day watching it, it used to be... We'll introduce you in a moment, guest. Reboot, the show. Was it cool or
it was not cool, and then it got really dark and it was really cool.
Well, yeah, but like it was cool for like however old we were at the time.
I love Reboot.
At the time,
I bet it holds up.
Like I thought Mighty Max was fucking awesome back in the day.
It was awesome.
The toys are actually fantastic. That's actually a really great idea. I love that.
Yeah, it's like Polly Pocket, but then it's like with like dicks.
What? Okay.
Yes, guests.
Speaking of dicks.
Yes.
We have a guest here. It is Gabriel. Introduce him.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a friend of mine from back in my days in the old dirty city doing comedy. It is my good friend, Mr. Matt Struck. Matt, hello!
Hey! Whoa, thank you for the introduction. That was so nice.
Introduce yourself to the listeners who might not know who you are.
And don't...
And who doesn't.
And you're not allowed to repeat anything Gabriel said about you, including your own name.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, right. And also no vowels.
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, I'm
Failed.
surprised that people wouldn't know me.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a big deal down at the community access station.
Hell
in
yeah.
my local town. So my name is Matt Struck, and I'm host of Really Late Night with Matt Struck, a web series about a guy with a late night television show.
I've always enjoyed...
But I'm also... Oh, yeah.
I've enjoyed your
That's
live...
what I want to hear.
I have enjoyed your many live shows.
No, I'm fine.
There's
whiskey in it already.
Well, before it was this web series, it was, we were doing it at that coffee shop in New York after hours.
At Dunwell Donuts, I believe.
Oh, yeah, the old Dunwell out in Billyburg.
Yeah, baby.
But yeah, that was so much fun because we got to tell jokes and interview musicians and comedians and had my sidekick, Dan Danger, who's still a very powerful web presence.
Love that dude.
So yeah, that's pretty much me. Writer, performer, late night TV show host.
Hell yes. I also recall I appeared on one of your animated web series called Matt Toppings, Little Pizza in a Big City.
Oh yeah. It was about a little pizza trying to make it as a comedian, and his life is falling apart, which is actually kind of a thread in all of my comedic works. Life falling apart.
Can't imagine. I always on all cylinders at all times.
And where are you recording or speaking to us from, Matthew?
Well, the Wi-Fi's down at my house, so I'm actually parked in a parking lot outside of a coffee shop.
Awesome.
Yeah, coasting on their Wi-Fi.
That's amazing.
With a dying battery, and the windows rolled up, and I'm sweating. So once the employees leave, they're probably going to call the cops on me. There's a sweaty man talking to himself in our parking lot.
That's awesome.
That is a sign. Yeah. That is something to worry about. It is, by the way, like a healthy 9
laughing
PM.
now.
Yes. Yeah, they're just cackling to themselves. Yeah. That's amazing.
Is that guy recording a podcast?
Let's hope. Maybe there's someone tied up in his trunk he's talking to. Oh, Matt, you're in Colorado, I believe.
I am in Colorado. Yep, I'm in Denver.
Rad.
Bob Dylan lived here at one point.
Hey, Daniel's all about that.
I was just talking about Dylan, and Gabriel's eyes glazed over.
Yeah, then he started talking about Bob Dylan, and my eyes immediately just went blank.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
It's like hearing Gabe talk about Gilmore Girls or one of those other
That's
shows.
a very fair point. God, I love Gilmore Girls.
Right. Or whenever I have a sketch idea and I tell anyone.
I'm always game.
Yeah, but me and you are a special breed.
Yeah.
Where we enjoy it.
Exactly.
And I don't even enjoy it most of the time myself, actually. So I'm on the other side as well.
It's a hard life.
I've glazed over my own thoughts. I'm just I'll let this pass.
Mm-hmm. It's maybe no one heard. It's fine. It's I was talking about the news.
There's a really awesome story that goes with it, but long story short, Pete Holmes and John Mulaney are friends, and specifically they wanted to have a really private conversation away from their wives, and to 100% make sure that they weren't around. They were basically he basically was P. Holmes was I'm going to hang out with John Mulaney, and his fiance or girlfriend at the time knew it's they're just gonna be doing bits the whole time. I'm not gonna be there for that.
That's pretty great. I really dig that. Well, Matt, really it's a very big pleasure for us to have you on the show. So let's talk to you a little bit about books.
And speaking of books, before we get into
never heard of them.
There's
those things I burn.
There's one underneath your drink right
I'm burning
now.
it.
I don't know if you're aware of it, but there's a couple in the room. Before we get there, I just want to point out to the casual listener, if you wanted to skip ahead to the actual when we talk about the thing in the title, there's time codes below, so you can go ahead and skip to that. I don't know why.
If for some reason you would want to gloss over our hilarious banter with superstar Matt Struck, then you can have time codes, but it's just going to be us anyway down the line.
What kind of heartless, soulless individuals would actually want to skip all that?
Do you ever think about the reality that we do have hundreds, if not approaching thousands of subscribers on this show, how many of them do you think is a random person who decides to pick our show in any random context and they're like, what the fuck is this?
Well, that's what happens. I tell you what, that'll be the first thing on the Corkboard. We'll get to book talk with Matt in a moment.
Yeah.
But I just got into, and don't get me wrong, it's probably like, it seems like a really solid show. There's a podcast
Slow
called...
Readers?
Slow Readers. It's a really good, I've heard
It
good
is
things
a good
about
show.
it. No, called Genre Junkies. Where basically it's just like a lot of like genre talk across like any kind of medium. And I was attracted to one because they're going to be talking about Jeff Vandermeer's Annihilation.
Sure.
Which was made into a film earlier this year starring like Natalie Portman, Gina Rodriguez.
Did you see it, Matt?
I did not.
It was good.
Do you know what we're talking about?
A little bit. Is it one of those moving pictures?
It is one of those moving pictures.
Correct.
And before it
there's
was
24 of them in a second. And there's a whole
yeah,
lot
I
of
have
seconds.
seen it. It's that one movie, and it's about those two guys who crash weddings, right?
That's the one. Thank God.
Yeah, I've seen it. Dude, they're not invited. It's like the funniest premise I've ever heard of.
Like, Matt, like, not to go behind the curtain, one of my favorite things about you is your insistence. Like, I don't think there's like maybe a week doesn't go by where I don't see a weird reference to Wedding Crashers, like, for you. It's very weird. But I love it to death.
Yeah, well, this is the funny thing about it is that when you start to notice culturally how much we talk about movies, it's very easy, like 4 times a week, when someone's like, you've seen Exorcist, right?
Yep.
It's like, oh, I have. And then you just present it as that. Mm-hmm. It's hilarious. But it's really kind of part of my identity now.
Yeah.
Clearly, for any longtime listeners of the show, me and Gabriel can not relate.
No, we've never talked about a movie ever.
We never talk on our literature show. We never always bring up movies when we're
pretty much
when we have.
This is basically a movie show.
It's like a movie show, and then at some point we talk about a specific book.
Yeah, and then there's also a video game show. We do whatever.
We're talking about video games.
Circling back around, imagine an academic who loves Kurt Vonnegut, who's like, oh, there's not a lot about Hocus Pocus. Maybe I'll listen to this thing. It's called Slow Readers.
I'm curious to hear what young people are talking about Hocus Pocus in 2018. On a seemingly popular podcast out there,
and he's not going to make it a time code.
Yeah, they make it this shit.
Yeah,
this
really.
Well, several times when I've been reading the book, people have thought that I'm reading like an adaptation of the 1990
the Bette Midler movie.
Disney. Yeah. And I'm like, you for real think I'm reading
this kid's story about witches?
No, that
right, but that would be written like retroactively.
It's like old,
and it's like all tattered.
Well, I tell you what, I was helping my mother with her job today. And I was reading this book, and sure enough...
Daniel's mom is a ski instructor.
Yes, ski instructor. She instructs ski.
Yeah, she also manages properties.
Yes, and manages properties.
Oh, okay.
But she saw me reading it, and she goes, oh, is that...
Hocus Pocus?
Is that the one about, like, the witches? And I was like, no, it's not that.
About the black candle? I've never seen it. I know many people obsessed with it.
Right. You never seen it?
Yeah.
No, have you?
Yeah.
There's something about a black candle?
Oh, it's a hit.
I've just never seen it.
It's just about as prevalent as fucking Wedding Crashers, man.
Probably.
Yeah. Dude, you've got to see Hocus Pocus. These 3 witches, they just like crash these weddings. It's hilarious.
Yeah. And the second,
awesome.
And what's shocking is that this.
How many times do they play Shout? I want to see. I would love to see Bette Midler just as a witch, like dancing to Shout. That'd be amazing.
I'm sure there are songs in that. Was there a black cat?
Oh, and Sarah Jessica Parker is in it too.
Yeah,
that's right. I didn't know that.
Get this, guys. She's the sexy witch.
I just saw L.A. Story starring Steve Martin, and she plays like the 19-year-old like sex pot in it, and it's kind of wild.
Yeah, she used to do that kind of thing.
I also she has Sex in the City, I hear.
I also finally saw a little bit of Sex in the City, which I have never seen before in my life. I don't care for that show.
It's fine. Matt, how many episodes of Sex in the City have you watched?
I think I've only seen the sequel of the movie. I saw it in theaters.
Why?
Where they go to Iran?
I saw it in theaters. And when you go into something without like any understanding and you're watching the sequel, you are like now in a fever dream. It's not a show, it's not a movie, you are watching a fever dream.
They're like in Dubai or something, right?
At a sequel, they know they can do whatever they want. Like there's probably not going to be a third, so they go all out. I think they go to Dubai, yeah.
The one thing I remember from the trailer is that they're riding camels in the desert, one falls off, and it's hilarious.
I believe it. Which one was it?
Speaking of which, I'm really holding out for Entourage movie 2, man. I mean, that's gonna. I am so looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Ronda Rousey beats up Turtle.
You know what I did remember though, and it's 100% like it's like, you know what? I used to watch Entourage like the earlier season.
We really did, didn't we?
You know what? It was pretty good.
You know, it really did used to be satire.
It was funny. It was satire.
And then it became not.
I think it started out not as satire, then it became satire, and then it just kind of kept going.
I think Matt,
I feel like that's how Girls was too, don't you think?
Girls?
I never watched Girls.
Really? Girls felt like a Sex and the City joke when it started. And I was like, oh, I get it. And then it like morphed into more like realisticness, reality-based.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I was kind of enjoying the like strangeness of like we're an updated Sex and the City. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well, we have no idea what Girls is about because me and Gabriel, we're a bunch of boys.
We're a bunch of humans.
Yeah, you're just like eating spaghetti and jerking off.
That's your interpretation of men?
Is that?
Like,
I was like, halfway through me saying that, I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. You're being recorded. And I'm like, get away from me.
Nope.
I'm going for it.
Yeah, but honestly, I love it and we're into it. Allow me to circle all the way back before we got interrupted the first time.
Oh, yeah. What was I saying?
No, what I was saying before you interrupted me.
No. Before you interrupted me because I was talking about genre junkies.
No, I was saying something before that.
Well, okay, fine.
Right.
You do your thing first.
Okay.
Then I'll do genre junkies.
If anything, I interrupted both of you by being on this podcast. Should I leave?
No, you are the highlight. You're kind of like having the girlfriend around so you can talk to your parents because they're talking to her instead.
Right.
So, Matt, my question was, are you a big reader?
I'm gonna be honest. You know why? Because honesty sets you free. I'm not that big of a reader, but I love Kurt Vonnegut. So when we were talking about doing this show, I was like, well, you know what? Lead with what you're strong with, you know, your strengths.
I dig it.
And we will ask you more Kurt Vonnegut questions when it's goddamn book time talk. But it's glad to hear.
Wow. Okay.
It's glad to hear that you're not that much of a reader. That's a weird way to say it, but
yeah.
No, I'm glad that you're being honest with us because that's what this show's all about. Honesty. Speaking of honesty,
Daniel's always honest with me.
Gabriel fucking really wanted to go for book talk, and it's like, fine. I mean, we're gonna talk about goddamn genre junkies.
Fine, talk about your genre junkies.
Okay, genre junkies.
You mean your story isn't over?
I listened to the Annihilation episode.
Oh, okay.
And it's 3 people. It's 2 regulars and a guest. 2 of them hated the book.
Okay.
1 of them liked the book.
Okay.
I like her. The other 2, I got so sick of hearing them basically just be like, I don't know. The whole thing's just written like the person's really boring. And I got so mad.
Was it like our episode where you and I talk about what was it called again? Jeff Vandermeer's Secret of the Ooze? Born, yeah.
And you were just like shitting all over it.
I didn't get it.
What was not? I was actually whatever.
No, I got it. I just didn't like it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you didn't get it. You did not get it. You just
I didn't get what he was going for.
It was pretty straightforward. Fine. Anyway, no, it wasn't like that. It was more. Yeah, but I love Annihilation and the Southern Reach trilogy, and it's one thing for him to be like, the first book is boring, but he said, the whole trilogy was written in a really boring tone, and I was like, what the fuck? So those 2 can go fuck themselves. I like the show. Check it out, everybody. Genre Junkies.
Sure.
I like the lead female host. She's a fantastic person.
What's her name?
I don't know, genre. And then the boy junkies.
Genre.
He better watch his fucking shit, man.
He'll watch his ass.
God damn it! Don't shit on Annihilation.
Yeah, don't do it, dude.
Yeah, Matt, you heard Matt Struck, famous reader.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Big reader.
Big
well read.
Big. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, did we run out of things to talk about?
No, I want to talk about books a little bit more before I go right to the thing, because there's going to be a sideline to it.
Oh,
so you're not a big reader, Matt. What would you say is your favorite book?
I mean, honestly, Breakfast of Champions might be my favorite book.
I definitely tattooed an asterisk on my elbow because of that book.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Fuck yeah,
that.
dude. I have, yeah, it's like I remember, I think I told a story when we did Cat's Cradle, where the first thing I ever read of Vonnegut's was, we were getting on the bus in 8th grade to go to someplace in middle school, and I borrowed Breakfast of Champions from the library. I sit down the thing, I open it right up, and there's the illustration of the asshole, and I'm like, I'm in. And that was it.
I also forget, it's been a while since I've read Breakfast of Champions. Not to jump too far ahead into the Vonnegut talk, but I bought and read his last book, A Man Without a Country, and I believe he just repurposes the asterisk joke.
Probably.
Asterisk.
Yeah.
Asterisk is not a word.
Now that you say that, that does sound familiar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he would kind of like have to though, right? That's like playing your hits, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like,
yeah.
Aerosmith playing. I forget
Dude
what
Looks
their
Like a Lady.
famous song is.
And if you can imagine, Vonnegut kind of like gave up writing shortly after, this book even.
Yep.
Mainly was writing nonfiction and writing, we'll get to this later, but political stuff. But speaking of Vonnegut repeating himself, Matt, have you heard the Shakespeare story from Vonnegut?
I don't know. Tell it to me again, and maybe it'll jog my memory.
Okay, That's Gabriel spitting the dick out.
Yeah, that's why I quieted you first.
Yeah, human genitals.
Vonnegut gets paid a lot to go to universities and such, and he basically does this. He says like, oh, everyone says that a story has to go by these three things, you know, rising action, climax, falling action. Like there's a certain like pattern that every story needs to do, and he goes like, well,
yeah, I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
And he talks about like Cinderella too, how it's like the character either needs to come from the bottom and rise up, or come from the top and fall down,
or something like that. I forgot I think all I remember, and I may only half remember the actual thing, but yeah, you're right. Like he basically says like, well, here's all these stories, and he mainly starts with Shakespeare. He'll say like Hamlet. And it's all illustrations. And basically, it starts low, and then it just immediately drops to the bottom, and it goes like, "That's the arc of Hamlet." But the little joke underneath that is that apparently he's been telling that story for like 20 fucking years.
Oh yeah.
So like. Like I remember, like someone like Neil Gaiman like was excited because he saw Vonnegut talk or whatever, and he heard the story and was like, "Oh, that's fucking great! It's brilliant." Then talked to some other magical English writer like Alan Moore or whatever.
Sure.
And like he's like, "Oh, I heard Vonnegut," and Alan Moore would just be like, "Is he still talking about Shakespeare?"
Yeah.
And that's the Vonnegut telling a Shakespeare story.
Yay!
Gabriel's giving me the stoniest, most bored face.
Yep.
Fuck you, Gabriel.
Solid story, Daniel.
Gabriel, this is a show. We're not talking to each other. We're talking to the audience. I couldn't start the story without finishing it.
Sure.
Okay?
That definitely could have petered out like many of our other topics do.
Hey, Matt, do you know Terrence Malick?
Oh, God. How about... wait. Speaking of Terrence's...
Oh, yeah. No,
I'm a big fan of Terrence Malick. I don't know him personally, if that's what you're asking.
okay,
but
if you knew him personally, that'd be pretty cool.
I did, however, follow Jim Jarmusch once down an entire city block.
How did that go?
Yeah, what?
Well, I was on autopilot because I was so starstruck, and then I was like, oh, this is creepy. You should stop. I'm not proud of that.
Did he shake you, or did you give up?
You know, he's a pretty tall man, so his stride was longer than mine, and then also I didn't catch the yellow light, and it turned red, and you know, I like Jarmusch, but not enough to jaywalk.
He's a wily dude.
One of the sons of Lee Marvin.
Sure.
Yeah.
Come on, y'all know the sons of Lee Marvin.
No.
Oh, that's a bunch of people who aren't officially sons who look just like Lee Marvin.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
It's Jim Jarmusch, Tom Waits,
Nick Cave.
I think
Nick Cave does not look like
Nick Cave. I was gonna say I was playing
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain, that's actually a good one.
Yeah, he looks so fucking.
And even kind of like Kurt Vonnegut. If you started to melt Anthony Bourdain's face a little bit more.
Yeah. If you Play-Doh'd a Lee Marvin's face. It was
Right.
if Anthony Bourdain kind of stayed out in the sun for a little too long, he would turn into.
Like if you
Vonnegut.
stepped on him, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Oh.
If he'd been if he'd been in Dresden during the bombing.
Oh, nice.
Oh no!
Solid.
I was gonna say
boy.
political. That's
Oh,
not
boy.
Word.
I just checked that off of my bunch of jokes I had written down. So now that has a check mark, and I have one more joke left. So
I can't wait.
It's like a list of 3, and the second one's got to be 9/11.
yeah.
Wonderful.
Speaking of which, I was on the Wikipedia and looking at a bunch of like young pictures of Vonnegut. That was weird.
Yeah, some people are always
yeah.
old.
That's the end of that story.
He's one of them.
I tell you what, we're getting.
He was just born in a cardigan.
To be honest,
Cigarette in his mouth.
I think every
Right.
single picture I've seen him in, he was in a cardigan.
Yeah,
I think so.
he's a
I
high-waisted
remember.
pant.
I forget which one. There's one of his books where his like picture is just him lying in a field with a dog.
Oh.
And my manager was like, I was like, do you like Vonnegut? And she's like, no, he's just a drunk. I don't like him. And I was like, but look at this picture of him. She's like, yeah, look at that. He fell down drunk in this field with his dog. He's so irresponsible.
Wow.
And I was kind of like, yeah, I kind of agree.
Was he drunk?
I don't know if he was a drunk, was he?
I mean, I think he was a pretty big time drinker, but
But he was also
I mean,
like
everyone
those
knows
old world-
he was like the last hero of like hardcore cigarette smokers. But
Right,
I never
yeah.
knew him to be a hard drinker. I mean, you'd probably know more than me.
he's kind of like almost like Alan Watts, where depending on what you type in, people are like, oh, he's an alcoholic, and then people are like, no, he's not an alcoholic, where it's just like they just have a different relationship to it.
You know, when
I can dig it.
you type in Kurt Vonnegut into Google, top 3 choices: alcoholic, non-alcoholic,
Junior.
feet.
Oh, always feet. It's always feet.
Oh, laughing at my own
Wait,
joke.
yeah, no, it's always feet. So let's go on a quick break so we can finally go on to real talk.
How dare you go to the break before I do?
I saw you starting it.
I started like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I was doing you a courtesy.
All right. We'll go to break as Gabriel said.
You know it.
And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some fucking book-ass shit.
Some shit-ass book.
Okay.
That's not true.
Okay, everybody. Ass shit book.
Bam.
Peace out. Welcome back.
We're back. A dinosaur story.
Dear listener. Why?
What?
Listener readers.
Daniel looked very angry with me for like a second there.
Ever since I found out that you did We're Back, a Dinosaur Story for Sex and Violence, my only response has been, why?
Ryan, it was Ryan's pick. I wanted to watch About Time.
And I know you say that every time, but still, every time I hear it, I just go, why?
It was actually a funny episode.
Why? It was a delightful choice.
Any hoozles.
And I did see that movie in theaters back in the day.
Walter Cronkite is a voice in it, and so is Julia Child.
Yeah, I looked that up, right? It's
Isn't that
fucking
pretty wild?
weird, man.
Any hoozles.
Anyway.
So if you skipped right ahead, because this is time for book talk. Welcome to
Book
Slow
talk.
Readers. I'm still Gabriel.
You just did a slight pelvic thrust.
I know I did.
I am still Daniel Gonzalez.
And guest.
Matt Struck.
Yeah, buddy.
Said it like a Pokemon. Matt Struck.
I like it.
Alright. So now is the part of this dumb show where we talk about books.
Barks.
Although it's kind of disappointing.
Yay.
We've been talking about books.
We actually have. Isn't it wild?
We've been talking about fucking Kurt Vonnegut.
We done been.
Which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Struck.
This was your
Yes.
book choice.
That's my first sponsor. This is your book choice. Why did you, how did you recommend Hocus Pocus by Kurt Vonnegut?
Yes, specifically this one. You said earlier you're a Vonnegut fan as it is. What brought you to pick Hocus Pocus? And before that, what is your favorite Vonnegut prior? Or was it Breakfast of Champions you said?
Breakfast Champions, I said.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, yeah, definitely Breakfast of Champions.
Rad.
Well, one thing that because, like I said, Vonnegut's my favorite, so I've, like, read a bunch of his stuff. And I remember specifically with Hocus Pocus, I would go back and reread paragraphs because they were so funny.
Mm-hmm. Give us an
Like,
example.
His books, like, kind of all have that quality, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, certain things in particular, like, let me see. I actually have a little note here.
Ooh.
Someone takes notes like a nerd.
Nerd alert!
Yeah. Oh, don't make fun of my IQ. Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah. Just, like, some of his, like, phrases, like, when he talks about, how after someone dies, that, like, this preacher character says ashes to ashes takes a lot longer than people realize.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And it's just, like, these, like, small little nuggets that he gives that just, like, stick with me. And, like, I don't know, he reminds me of people that I've met in my life where they're both, like, very, like, childlike.
Like us.
But also, yeah, but also, like, severely aged and very old. Not like you.
Aw. I think that's a really cool and very apt comparison to it. I think that's always been Vonnegut's gift. It's always been his thing as the existential humanist. He's always been someone who finds everything very funny and unbearably sad.
And most importantly, Matt, have you read this story before? Question mark?
Hocus Pocus?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, how long has it been? A while, or?
Oh, it's probably been at least 5 years.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right. Yeah, how about this? Let's talk a little bit about what Hocus Pocus is. And I think it's going to be time for Matt to tell us that.
Matt, give us as quickly and brisk a summary of what is Hocus Pocus.
Okay. Do I get a countdown or a drum roll?
Yes,
10,
you want.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 second, please.
Please, Mr. Kennedy.
Oh.
Go on, Matt.
Hocus Pocus is about slavery.
Okay.
Ultimate punchline.
Yes.
That's the quick version.
Yes.
Well, so it's like following this main character, Eugene, who starts off working in a college and ends up working in a prison.
Eugene Debs Hartkey Jr.
Yeah, that's how you pronounce it. I didn't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'm glad you finally did.
I think it's Hartkey. Debs Hartkey.
Oh, that's right. That's his name. That's the name of the guy. Hartkey? Wait, no.
And like,
Hartkey.
what I like too about it, especially with this book in particular, is the line separations.
I find it very charming.
Yeah, because according to Vonnegut, who's the editor in this book,
quote unquote, yeah.
This whole book is compiled of notes that Eugene Hartkey has just been writing.
Like on scraps.
Yeah, just scrap pieces of paper. So then, yeah, occasionally you'll just get a line, the word cough, and then like a line, you know?
Solid.
I
I
guess that's my...
Sorry, go on.
Oh, yeah. So, like, I guess that's my quick synopsis. And then it's, like, in Vonnegut's style, just following him through his, like, stream of consciousness, where you're realizing that all these characters are interconnected, and he's, like, nodding at himself and nodding at characters from his other books, you know?
See, that's interesting. I would hesitate to classify this as stream of consciousness. Because for me, like, I make this comparison often because I think it's a very apt one, that... I remember when I started reading Polaniuk books, like, I would always compare it to Vonnegut, that you see this fascinating, like, opening of really, like, ballistic, bizarre, like, storytelling of very strange scenarios, and then you think it's going to boil down to a fine point, and if Polaniuk, it almost never did. Whereas with Vonnegut, you start with this really bizarre premise, this very specific thing happening, almost, it feels like all tangents, until it finally all comes together to almost a single moment, and you're like, wow, it's like a Matryoshka doll, or like an unpeeling an onion. There is a core to all of his stories that don't feel like it's stream of consciousness. It feels like it's building towards, like, truth.
Right. Or almost like an inverse Big Bang or something.
Ooh.
Because he'll talk about things that happened all scattered throughout time. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, it, like, resolves in one point that he brings you back to.
Yeah, I guess like the way he brings out information, like how slowly you meet essential characters, like the leader of the jail escape and also the Japanese warden.
Oh yeah, totally. Or even the like the town friend who takes him to the prison to get the job.
Wakefield?
I forget. He has a pickup truck.
Oh, time for a reveal. Daniel and I did not finish this book yet.
I was waiting.
Welcome to Slow Readers, where we read slowly.
Right.
We're not very good at reading.
Even like Sam Wakefield is like a really interesting character because, I mean, I'm sure that you both, I mean, this is just a part of being human in my mind, but Sam Wakefield just says like, oh, you should go to, you should join the military.
Oh yeah, what's your hurry, son?
Like, yeah, what's your hurry, son? And then sets him up for a whole different like turn of events. Mm-hmm. And like even with not to talk about my show already.
Oh, please do.
My show started because I ran into a friend at an art gallery, and he was like, "You know what we should do? We should have like a talk show." And I said, like, "All right, let's do it. I'm tired of us always talking about stuff and not finishing it." And then, little did I know it would become like this obsession that I'm still working on 7 years later. Like, what would have happened if I didn't go into that art gallery,
No, I love that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like weird to think about that. And Vonnegut has the grace and ability to step outside of it and show you like, oh, these are people in your life that are going to just nonchalantly just change the direction of everything.
It's this wonderful humanist quality. But on the off chance that you do get cut off from us, quickly tell everyone where to find your show online.
Okay.
God damn it.
Thank you, Daniel.
He's gone.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Matt?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, wait, tell people where to find your show?
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying like at 5%.
No,
okay.
no. I was saying that.
This?
I was saying right before, just in case your battery dies, tell us now before we continue where to find your show. There was a lot of silence. We're like,
yeah.
Right.
What? Okay.
You can find my show on this little website called youtube.com.
Never heard of it.
And if you just type in Really Late Night with Matt Struck, it'll show up.
Struck, how's struck spelled? What? Is it like the verb or is it like some crazy Polish thing?
It is like the verb. So like struck by a car, struck gold, struck by lightning.
Struck by Cupid's arrow?
If you type in just Matt Struck, it's me and then this dude who makes these Trump videos, like these pro-Trump videos. So please type in the full name of the show because I don't want people to think it's weird. All right, this guy's cool. I'm not starting beef. It's just strange to me because it's so different than what I do. But he like edited like footage of Trump to like a Kanye West song.
What?
It's like, which is like really fitting actually. Like,
no, it kind of is.
Yeah, there's like an interesting.
I am a god.
So.
Yeah, but also I'm trying to do my Instagram more. So if you type in Matt Structures on Instagram, there you can find all sorts of Wedding Crashers memes. So.
Very true.
And that's really what the people want.
That's what I want. And now that we got that through, Daniel, what are your thoughts on what you've read of Hocus Pocus?
First off,
Daniel, how do you feel about Kurt Vonnegut?
No, I was going to say first off, how did I feel about it? Then I realized that's what you asked me. Well, first off, actually, I only read about like a third of this, and let me walk you through the journey of me trying to read this. Because,
Daniel, are you one of those fast readers?
No, I'm a slow reader. Don't get me wrong, though. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll read a fucking book fast, bro.
Like what?
Like The Thicket by Jorah Lansdale.
Sure.
Other books.
In Search of Lost Time.
In Search of Lost Time. Is that the...
Also known as Remembrance of Things Past.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the... Anyway, sorry.
It's Proust!
We're not going to fucking... What is it, the Proust show? Fucking God, come on. No, so...
What's the fastest you've ever read a book?
Yes, Daniel.
Because I'll tell you mine. Can I tell you mine?
Yeah, you tell me mine.
I once read a book between Bedford and First Avenue.
How?
By walking very slowly.
Did you, like, take naps?
Right, yeah. I was... it was a dream. I don't know. We'll go with that.
So-
We'll come back. I'll think of something super clever and we'll re-edit it in.
Honestly, you could you could just let it lie and it was perfect. Daniel, so
Yeah.
your feelings on
okay.
Vonnegut and therefore Hocus Pocus / your process of reading this.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Here's my process. I gave myself 3 days to read this. And again, just like a lot of like other, don't read my texts.
It's your brother.
Just like a lot of other like Vonnegut books. It's pretty short.
It's not long.
It's long
They're
for
breezy.
Vonnegut, but
agree
it's still it's still pretty short.
Yeah.
And it's breezy.
Mm-hmm.
I gave myself 3 days to read this, which should be easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, Friday now. 100%. I was in a mood. So every time I tried picking up this book, I hated reading it.
Okay.
I gave myself all day to read this and also do some writing.
Mm-hmm.
I could do neither. Like, I couldn't focus on shit.
Sure.
I literally, at some point, even though I was like, all day I'm going to do these 2 things. That's what all I'm going to do.
Did you just play Hollow Knight instead?
I played, not Hollow Knight, I played Dark Souls 3 all fucking day.
God.
Because I got so frustrated in the fact that I couldn't write.
That's incredible to me.
And-
I'm frustrated. I'm gonna play Dark Souls.
Yeah, because
What?
Because to me, well, we have that discussion every time. For me, it's
That's
comfort
true.
food. I do that. I play Dark Souls while listening to podcasts. Anyway, but no, like for the first 20 pages, for some reason, I just couldn't really focus on this. I was getting very impatient with this, and all of a sudden, I was just like, man, even at this length, that's too much Vonnegut. But that was that day, right?
Okay.
And then the next day, I picked this up, and I immediately was like, oh, I'm into this.
Yeah.
And that was the day where I read like the first third of this book.
Mm-hmm. And that was yesterday.
Which was, by the way, as
Or
far into
today.
the book as I got, because I was supposed to read more today, and I
Well,
didn't
that's also
have
really,
time.
that's fresh in your mind too, so that's a pretty smart tactic.
Yeah.
What, to have just read it?
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
This show
yeah.
isn't called Fast Readers, Daniel.
I'm
Speed readers.
complimenting the freshness.
Oh yeah. We should have. So it's so fresh. It's not even done cooking because I'm a third way into it.
Hey.
But like yeah, no. Then I got into it, and I feel like the moment he was talking more about himself.
Eugene Zamb's heart keys.
Zim Zam Shoom got into it, and yeah. So again, like the thing that that you guys are kind of mentioning in the book, how I would describe the show is that like a lot of other Vonnegut books.
The show?
What?
Go on.
I don't know. I think I called Sex and the City Sex and Violence as well. But no, a lot about Vonnegut, a lot of other Vonnegut books is that there's a specific event that is like alluded to throughout the story, and it kind of like takes them a while to like kind of get to that one thing.
Yeah, it often builds to one climactic event.
Yeah, and in this, like that Vonnegut moment is apparently a
Timequake. No?
We'll talk about that in a moment.
Timequake rocks.
That's a good one.
Is it?
Yeah, I love that one.
Okay.
I think about Timequake on a regular basis.
Another really important thing about this book is that he kind of like stopped writing fiction towards the end.
Yeah.
This is his second last book, and it was published in like 1990.
Yeah, I think so.
He had one other fiction book, which was Timequake, which
Yeah.
came out in 1997.
Yeah, his last Kilgore Trout thing.
And he did nothing. Then he died like a loser.
How dare you? Well, he wanted to go out like via like lung cancer. He said he fell down the stairs.
He had a great Vonnegut like way out where he fell down.
No, that does feel like a very
Right.
Vonnegut way to go.
Or he's expecting
But
cancer.
before he left, do you remember he like called out George Bush?
Did he?
He read a letter to the president and did it on PBS, which was like such an old man thing to do. And I was like, you are so boss. I loved it.
Wait, he did that before he died?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, because they have footage of him, unless the CGI is that good. I don't know.
Tupac did it too.
I'll send you the links.
Oh, please do. We'll put it on the website.
All right. We'll do that. I'll look into that.
But I saw him on the Daily Show, like right near before when he died.
Probably when I was promoting Man Without a Country or
Must
something
be.
like that.
I
Yeah.
mean, like his shadow looms large.
Yeah, it is. But love Vonnegut. I won't say like I'm a huge fan. That's not true at all. I've only read several of his books.
Listeners, if you ever want to hear an even more in-depth discussion about Vonnegut, Daniel and I did an episode on Cat's Cradle maybe like a couple of months ago.
Which I think is my favorite so far.
I think that's just what you said as well.
Again, I only read
Yeah.
4 of his books, and I'm counting this as 4, and I've only read, a third of it.
Matt, how many Vonnegut books would you say you've read?
Oh,
I mean, I've probably read like 8.
I think like 8's about mine as well. If I think about it really hard.
Has anyone read his short fiction?
I've only read Harrison Bergeron because I had to read it for a class or something.
And, like, out of those 8, I've probably read them all, like, 3 different times. So it's also kind of hard for me to, like, differentiate because he does reference and bounce around so much.
Yeah, like even reading one of his books now, he repeats himself so much, like out of, like, rhythmic repetition's sake. It's funny to try to remember what's and what's not.
It's like trying to remember the last several Fast and Furious movies.
Exactly.
It's all essentially one big movie that's been going on since 2010.
You know what's really interesting is one of my friends who I'm like making videos with. He's working on a series of essays, and he actually wrote an essay about how Kurt Vonnegut is like Lil Wayne.
Okay.
And like it is like such a good one. The essay is not out yet because it's still being edited, but we talked about it a bit. And my friend, his name's Robbie Zupa, he's a really good painter. And we were just talking about how, like, similar to, like, Lil Wayne, Kurt Vonnegut kind of just has these small little stories that build, like, this bigger kind of, like, feeling of who they are.
That's pretty awesome.
Like, I can't, like, pinpoint exactly, like, what stories I like from Kurt Vonnegut. Similar how I can't pinpoint what lyrics I like from Lil Wayne. I'm also a really big Lil Wayne fan. But throughout, like, both of their work, they're both, like, implying this, like, their essence. They both, like, draw out their essence that's throughout, like, each sentence and each paragraph, each story. And, like, also both of them deal with, like, sci-fi, right? Because, like, Lil Wayne's always like, I'm an alien.
I don't know anything about Lil Wayne other than A Milli is an amazing song. And that's literally all I know about him.
I know less than that. And I was assuming Gabriel knew more because he seemed to be following that story. And I was like, I don't know what he's talking about.
I like Lil Wayne as a person. And also I like A Milli.
I'm not too sure who he is.
Oh, yeah. I listened to A Milli on my way to comedy shows to get pumped up.
It's such a good pump song. And also it's a strange one.
Sing it.
A milli. Something about
I'm
a millionaire, something like Nigerian hair.
Right. A millionaire, a coconut derriere with the Dumbo bear. He's like also just like really strange.
No, he's a weird dude.
Are so strange, like, cause like they've like let their imaginations kind of like surpass just being able to stay within like a normal chronological story. That's cool. What I like about both of them.
I like that.
And like, I don't know, and what I found from this book too is that it is like way more like kind of like almost like gross this character is, just like
really
his
that's
feelings
interesting.
Towards sex and his feelings towards like violence. Because this is one of the few characters that I've noticed that actually is kind of okay with like killing people more than
that's a very interesting point of view on that.
That's actually a really good point. That a very big thing that sits underneath the story is Vietnam. And our protagonist was an officer and
a lieutenant colonel.
And I think from what I can tell is that he talks about he's very promiscuous. Not very promiscuous, but pretty promiscuous.
Part of the essential line to the book is how many women he slept with. He repeatedly sleeps with people's wives.
Yes.
And part of a really cool circular thing to that is that very early on, he talks about how he refuses to use foul language. And it presents him as this character who believes in propriety, but at the same time, out of maybe all the, from what I've read anyway, all the Vonnegut protagonists, he's the one who commits the most acts of gross, like, inconsideration and violation without feeling any real kind of remorse for it.
I agree. Well, and what's interesting, too, is that with this one, part of this whole premise is that, like, his dad was an adulterer.
Yeah.
So, like, he ends
part
up,
of the cause
like,
of everything
growing
was the
up.
fact that his dad was.
Right. Yeah, so it's, like, a total, like, respect for, like, causes and conditions because he like realizes like, oh, my father did this and now I'm doing this, and it's just like kind of repeating, and him trying to come to terms with that. And also the correlation between I don't know if you guys got far enough in this part yet, but between the list that he's making, do you know what I'm talking about?
Of people he's killed and women he's fucked?
Yeah. So
that
it's
wasn't
like
in the first third of the book, so unfortunately,
you're like, oh, I wish I read a little faster.
Wrong show.
But
hey,
well, like what really took a dark twist for me is when he has one of his Vietnam memories, and they talk about how they killed like a teenage boy, and they like cut off his penis and testicles.
Yeah,
and
he
put
was
it in
he
his
was just a
mouth.
sniper. Yeah,
Right,
and they got to
said,
discourage snipers.
He wasn't like a man. I'm like paraphrasing. He wasn't a man, but if you're gonna play like big men's game, you have to play by big men's rules.
Yeah.
And it was just like so like cold and violent that it was just like, dude, what the fuck is going on with you?
No, that's a really cool thought that really didn't occur to me. Thinking back now, you have like the protagonists of Cat's Cradle or Slaughterhouse, who are all inherently decent men. Even like in Mr. Rosewater or in Breakfast of Champions. What's the name of the Dwayne something of Breakfast of Champions? What's his name?
Oh, Dwayne
Champion.
I don't know, because there's two characters and their names are so similar.
Yeah, but these are frequently
their
characters.
worlds are so different.
Yeah, they're characters seeking redemption, and I don't know. Maybe I didn't get this far, but it doesn't really seem like Eugene Hartke is necessarily seeking redemption. He's just justifying what happened to him.
He's just he.
It's still all about the humanistic quality of like causality of there. While there is no kindness, there's no universal order in a sense of decency towards humanity. There is kind of an order to how we treat one another.
From what I can tell, and he says early on, he compares this, and I forgot the term for this that he uses, but like a gallows confessional or something like that, because he's recollecting all these things that happen in his life in a kind of like non-traditional, non-linear format, but in the quote-unquote present, he's dying of tuberculosis in prison.
TB and PB.
Yeah, TB and PB.
I really like that Pertle board.
Right.
That's great.
Alphabet soup.
Yeah.
But so yeah, and so yeah, like that's actually a really good point. This is the only, as far as I know, like Vonnegut character who, even though he has like that sarcastic humanity,
he has like a genteel kind of like he holds himself up as like a gentleman.
Yeah,
even though he like does a lot of shitty things.
Which but I think again, like he's telling a story that's also about like Vietnam, like that whole mentality. And I think that's just kind of built into it. The whole idea, it's like, oh, people just went to Vietnam. You kill a lot of young boys and you napalm like villages of like young children, and you just go home and you're you know, and
right. And then like his transition from being at the university and then being in prison is so seamless.
Yeah.
That it's kind of like he's just saying it's the same place. He's the teacher.
Yeah.
And he killed people. And he's in there with prisoners who have also killed people. Yeah, and he's like, how does this make any sense?
How am I different? That's so cool.
He makes that point when he meets the Dawson. What's his first name?
Which one?
Dawson. The guy who was leading the prison riot, who were like
shoot,
like Alton. It was like Alton.
It was Alton Darwin.
Yeah, he makes the point that like Alton Darwin was like an eloquent, very intelligent man, but he was also like in like the drug game, and he like he's in jail for like mass slaughter.
Yeah, mass murder.
And like basically the protagonist is like, oh, I killed way more people than he did.
Yeah, and he's in prison. I'm the professor.
And he said, but because my excuse is that the government told me to do it, and he just did it for money.
Well, then, let me point this out that I love. I mean, not that anyone asked how I felt about the book.
I don't give a shit. Who
that
cares,
I'm really enjoying this one a lot, actually, and it makes me think back to Matt. Are you familiar with J.M. Coetzee at all?
No, I'm not actually.
Well, we read a book of his called Disgrace, and it's all about a disgraced, like a South African white professor who has sex with a young student. Like, she's like an adult, but still like inappropriate what he did, and it bordered on assault. And it's all about his like indignant response, like his genteel, indignant response to it. And I remember reading that book, and the whole time I'm just like, jeez. This fucking guy, boy. And then you read something like this, and it's about an even bigger monster than that, who has this kind of almost like universal, like solemn, wise understanding of how he's irredeemable, which I find so much more enjoyable and fascinating than this kind of grim, chronicle of like rape and murder.
I'll tell you what. I would greatly prefer Disgrace.
Are you serious?
Disgrace is a great book.
Disgrace is forgive me for using this word, is a bummer. Like, I don't enjoy that. The fucking B word, bro.
You're using the bum word.
I'm using the bum word.
Okay.
No, Disgrace, I think, is an incredibly artfully written, gorgeous book that told me nothing I didn't already know. This, for me, feels like commenting on everything ugly, awful, disgusting, disturbing, and tragic about the world, but does it in a way that's actually poetic and fascinating and makes you laugh.
Actually poetic.
Yeah. Sorry, John Michael Coetzee.
J.M. Coetzee.
God, he laid it on so thick.
Jesus Christ. First off, I'm not even going to bother arguing with that. It's like, that game, come on.
No,
I
definitely prefer this.
It's like, I would say that this... whatever. All right.
No, please go on.
No, I don't care. Hey, Matt Struck.
Yes.
How's your battery doing?
How's your battery doing?
Hey, let's check. Well, it's still on.
What is it on right now?
I don't know. I turned it on completely silent because it was vibrating next to the Zoom recorder.
Well,
oh, yeah, I was wondering what that noise was.
Well, regardless of the
9%.
We're good.
Good. We fucking got this.
We
Dude, we're cruising. We're cruising.
I think we've been talking for a while, so let's go to break, and when we come back, we're going to finish our talk and whatnot. All right?
Our thoughts.
All right. Ryan Snyder singer.
Correct.
Take us away, yeah.
Check out the Brogies food truck.
Hi there, I'm Ryan Snyder. I'm the co-host of Sex and Violence, another little podcast we do on the Top Gallant Radio Network. I co-host this show with Gabriel Mara, who also is co-hosting right now on Slow Readers. If you like movies, come on over and give us a little bit of a listen. We come out every Thursday on the Top Gallant Radio Network. We talk about boobs, blood, full frontal nudity, a lot of tit talk. I know Danny's a fan of that, so you'll probably like this on this podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at SNB Podcast. That's S as in sex, N as in Nancy, V as in vicious podcast.
Welcome back, heavy breathers.
Welcome back, heavy breathers, welcome back.
Because Gabriel, you are so loud at breathing today.
I am?
Yeah, I think it's allergies plus with the headphones on.
Oh.
Well, yeah, now you can. I mean, it's like, hold on, I'm not breathing quiet.
No, that's why I had pop filters.
Okay. Anyway,
I'm gonna buy them tonight.
We're back. Matt Struck is still here.
Matt Struck, happy to have you.
I'm still here. I'm hanging strong.
Update on the coffee shop employees. Are they still watching you?
No, they all left, so now it's even weirder. It's like I'm sweating and talking to myself, waiting for them to come back to work.
Isn't that the plot of the movie Lock? Or what's that movie what's it called? Where Tom Hardy's just in a car sweating.
I love the idea that you think Locke is about Tom Hardy's just on the phone parked outside of a coffee shop.
Isn't that it?
No.
Is it not?
He's
Dude, I think you're thinking of Phone Booth when that dude calls in on a podcast and then that sniper's like, you got to finish the podcast. But he didn't finish the book completely, so it's like all tense.
Yeah. I would love that goddamn movie. It'd be amazing.
I dig that.
Anyway.
So let's do final thoughts for this book we all finished.
Yes, for this first part
Hocus Pocus. Here's the thing, Matt Struck. In the future, would you want to come back and do a part 2 where we'll actually finish the goddamn book?
I think that would be a great thing to do.
All right.
And actually, I think it would really honor this book if we did that.
I think so. I'm really loving it.
Yes, I am liking it quite a bit.
You're getting into it.
I feel bad that, like I said, for some reason that day, I couldn't focus on anything that required, thinking. And then I played it again.
It's the modern world, buddy.
Right.
It's the modern world.
Well, and also, too, for part 2, I'll make sure not to, participate in a 48-hour film festival 2 days before we record.
Yeah.
So that way I can get, actual sleep.
I think we're all loopy.
You know what my thought was? I was like, I'll just read the book while we're on set in between takes. But I was like, DP, actor, sound guy, and just a genuinely, generally anxious person.
Yeah.
So I couldn't read a book. I couldn't even eat.
Being on set is stressful.
Standing there sweating.
Yeah.
I've just been sweating for 3 days straight.
Matt, you're a truly sweaty guy, but
we're happy to have you.
But yeah, no, that'd be a great idea.
We can't wait to have you back to do part 2.
Yeah, we'll still be talking about the same book.
Yeah, we'll go further on Vonnegut talk.
I'm happy about that.
I like the idea of us coming back and it's like, okay, so we did have 1/3 finished, and now we're at 1/2.
Yeah, we'll do like an entire mini series. It'll be excellent.
It'll be like doing like 9 stories. We did like all of J.D. Salinger's 9 stories, like Astoria thing. Just when we didn't have
kill
time to read.
Yeah.
But now we're gonna do it with this book, which is equally very small.
Hell yeah.
We're just gonna read in very tiny bits. Just kidding. For part 2,
Daniel,
we'll just read the rest.
your final thoughts on what you read of Hocus Pocus?
Hated it. No, I'm kidding. No, I like it quite a bit. Can't wait to go back to it. I feel bad that I'm only so far because
we've had a busy week.
I tell you what, though, I don't know how. Like, I'm a third in. Like, what's the other 2/3 gonna look like?
I think it's going to be, we're just going to meet more and more of the people of the tapestry. That's what I think is amazing. We know how this ends.
I was going to say, that was rhetorical.
Yeah.
Jesus
Whatever.
Fuck. Anyway, no, but like, but I'm thinking like, he's just going to he keeps introducing elements to, like I said, like it's focused on that one event. And then like, we're just learning more. So far I'm still not too sure. Because he talks about being in the prison, but no, he's working for the prison.
Yes.
I'm still kind of like hazy about that. Then I feel like he hasn't gotten to that moment where he says, oh, my one buddy said, hey, come work here, apparently. And that's going to be a whole thing.
Right. Yeah, he doesn't differentiate the idea of working in a prison and being in a prison.
That's cool.
Did we mention that the whole thing takes place surrounding a university and a prison that's across
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's an engaging talk anyway.
Anyway, Gabriel,
I'm super into this. I can't wait to finish it. I just had a really busy week, as we all did. This does feel like some of the best stuff like the Vonnegut always does so well. And I love this style of his storytelling. It really does feel like, it's like... I got into the idea of existential humanism because of him. And that's kind of how I've always lived my life, because of Kurt Vonnegut, which is a weird thing to say, but it's totally true. It's the idea that, like, you can be as, up your own ass about being existentialism as you want, but also life's fucking crazy. So it all ties together. It's pretty rad. Matt, your thoughts on what you read of Hocus Pocus this time?
Yeah, well, one thing that kind of caught me by surprise was that there's a piece of this book that also really influenced me and, like, all of my comedy stuff, where he talks about, again, I'm probably going to, like, butcher this, but he's, like, talking about how he wishes, like, the educational system would be better. And instead of filling, like, these kids' heads with ideas that they'll be, like, in movies and whatnot, that they're just going to actually experience failure.
Oh, yeah. We should teach our children to embrace failure.
Oh, yeah. That was a really... I've read that quote before from him, and then apparently it's from this book, where it's like we shouldn't prepare kids for, like, a future success. We should prepare kids for failure, because they're going to meet a lot of failure.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Right. And it's like it's nothing but failure over and over. And then he couples it with that awkward scene where his dad has taken it upon himself
the science fair?
into the science fair. Yeah.
That's so
it's
great.
like the most unbearable, uncomfortable thing. And then the, like, people who are running the science fair have to, like, gracefully, like, say,
hey, we're not going to embarrass you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
which
like,
is,
what's
like,
your hurry,
more
son?
embarrassing.
Yeah.
But, like, with all of, like, the Matt Toppings cartoon that you were on, Gabe, and also the Late Night Show, all of my characters are always, like, kind of like failures who are trying to get somewhere, and it's totally from that little part of this book that I probably read, like, 5 years ago or whatever. And so for me to be reading it and just be like, oh, whoa, this really did affect me, and, like, it's so beautiful. And I think that's, like, so cool, because it is much more relatable to, like, hear stories of people who are experiencing, like, failure or trying to ascend and not quietly, like, doing it,
Yeah.
Because most people, that is their story.
Matt, a complete sidebar. Have you ever watched the show The Venture Brothers?
I have not.
That's a great show, entirely about failure. get through the first season, because once you get to the second, it is the beautiful Vonnegut style. It would be as if Vonnegut decided to write a 60s adventure cartoon. It's awesome.
Ooh.
And it's really all about these miserable failures of characters. Can do.
Speaking of which, everyone stand by, because I believe the Venture Brothers new season is airing.
Even better.
It did just start, by the way.
Fantastic.
And also keep in mind that I was gonna make a plug for Aphex Twin. Matt, again, yes, you should come back for a part 2.
Yeah, Matt, it was a joy having you on the show.
It truly is, but we're not kicking you off just now. I was just saying that. You stick around.
I love being thanked multiple times. This is so great.
We'll thank you again, hopefully by the end.
Effusively.
Or if we don't forget. I don't know. We forget all the time. But I do want to say, for this week, I'm talking to the listeners right now.
Are you plugging right now?
And Gabriel. Well, sort of.
Okay.
That there's an exciting new addition, motherfuckers, to Slow Readers bonus episodes.
Oh, yeah?
Is it a new trial run for Alan Smithee game? No.
Near?
It is...
Snarf?
An interview.
Okay.
I do with an author.
Wonderful.
Author. But
what? Remix?
I got the chance to do a very short interview with author Terrence Malick. Jesus Christ. Terrence McCall.
You should maybe say his name with the real word author instead of author.
Author. Terrence Author.
I think you call yourself an author to pad calling yourself an actual author. So, author Terrence P. McCauley.
Okay. The peek behind the curtain, I'm sipping bourbon, and I haven't had bourbon in
Actually, it's not bourbon, it's blended whiskey.
That one. Kentucky blended.
Actually, Bird Dog.
But I haven't had whiskey in a while, so just sipping this is
I work at a whiskey bar now, and I feel like I have to regain my whiskey palate.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to regain my whiskey palate, because honestly, I killed that fucker because I don't like bourbon anymore. And my gin palate, on point. My whiskey palate, shit.
It's too heavy. Like, I'm so comfy in the nice warm blanket of like chilled wines right now that that drinking bourbon is like
fucking mute.
Man.
Oh yeah. Pop quiz.
Oh, no.
On the chilled wine. Have you ever frozen white grapes to drop into white wine?
Fuck yeah, I have.
Oh, he has.
It's delightful.
But he's a bartender.
Do that. Do a little splash of seltzer in there. Oh, you got a perfect summertime drink.
That's amazing.
And this has been Hot Drinks.
Matt, can you definitely put that in your O magazine? Just have an entire series of your spritzers.
Yeah.
Just get a wonderful garden photo of you in a linen shirt.
I'm thinking summer recipes and 9 different things you can do with kale.
Hell yeah.
I like that. I like cooking with kale, to be honest with
kale.
you. But I do want to go back to that because that's really important.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was important to mention that I'm messy right now because of
Daniel, do you have a name for this little side series?
Not really, actually. That's a good point. I don't. It's just like Slow Reader Talks To.
Okay.
Slow Readers Talks To, and it's going to be Terrence McCauley, author of The Fairfax Incident, which is the one book I've read of his.
Very cool.
It's his most recent book. It's really good.
Cool.
It's like a little like noir, like a hard-boiled detective mystery story. It takes place in 1930s New York City.
That sounds right up my alley.
Dude,
Daniel, where can people find Terrence McCauley's book?
I think pretty much all book retailers. Like you can get, but I mainly recommend Amazon.
Sure.
Like it's like some huge fucking it's like, dude, there's a little store called Amazon. Get it there.
Sure.
Well,
check out The Fairfax Incident by Terrence P. McCauley, and also listen in the coming weeks for Daniel interviews.
I would say Slow Readers Talks To. I like that.
I mean, am I going to be doing it at some point? My cousin's going to do one at some point.
If you want to.
Sure.
But no, I do want to,
My cousin, the award-winning writer that my father never fails to remind me about.
But I tell you what, is your cousin a Western writer like Terrence McCauley?
No, but she's an ethnic woman.
So she doesn't do Westerns? Come on.
No, she writes some. She writes some murder mysteries.
Does she?
Yeah.
Okay.
Deadass.
What's I think about that? Anyway.
So
yeah, and he has a Western coming out, which is I'm actually pretty excited about.
She also uses our real names, so unlike me using my fake name.
Yeah, and me who just made up a name. That's not true at all.
That's not true.
It's my mother's name. I'm Mexican.
Sure.
But no, stick around. That's going to be coming out later this week. Hopefully it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this. Now it's time for us to motherfucking plug. Matt Struck. There goes the book. Matt Struck. Is there anything else that you do? Where can anybody else find you? That's a weird way to say it.
So,
where
Matt,
can people
go
find
ahead
you?
and...
I got this. Where can people find you besides YouTube?
Or also replug your YouTube.
Oh yeah. Well, we have a whole website for the late night show called reallylatenight.com, and there we have videos, and also if you're interested in being a guest on the show, you can like email us there, and that's a great way to
Can Daniel
talk
and
to
I
us.
guest on your show?
Oh yeah, totally. We could do a Skype thing. My show is half reality, half narrative. So there would be some sort of script element.
Hell yeah.
Because we're constantly cutting in and out between the cameras of the show and then the real cameras that represent real life. But yeah, if you guys wanna come on, we could even do it pretty vague to reality of I would be a guest on your podcast.
Awesome. We would love to, and eventually, Matt, when I do make my cross-country trip, I would love to be on your show for realsies.
Oh, yeah. Well, and, since it's on community access, it's not like there's a contract ending. So I'm, planning on just doing this until, I die of TB, cough.
Hell yeah. Or you go full...
There's a Hocus Pocus reference.
You go full Chris... What's his name?
Tucker.
No, goddamn guy.
Chris Tucker. Just make a really successful franchise and then take a break and then do a
Jackie
big Netflix
Chan.
special.
Yeah.
I want that plan.
Fucking guy who's on Broad City, who has that amazing live talk show.
No, I don't know who you're talking about.
Are you talking about Vince Vaughn?
Yeah, you're talking about
That's
Vince
the
Vaughn.
one. Yes.
Wedding Crashers, Vince Vaughn.
No, he has another name like a penis. What is it?
Owen Wilson.
Hannibal Buress?
Gethard. Chris Gethard.
Oh, Chris Gethard.
Oh, Chris Gethard.
Go
Yeah,
full Gethard.
Chris Gethard. Yeah, he was around for a long time, and then now he's big time.
Hell yeah, he is.
And my memory...
Which is interesting, because at the public access network down here, the station manager used to work in New York, and she was telling me, oh yeah, Chris Gethard always used to come in, and it's funny that I was working there, and he'd come in, and now you're here.
That's
I
awesome.
suspect good things will happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's a little bit of pressure on me. I'm just content. I'm just content doing what I'm doing.
Hey.
Hell yeah.
And I remember you talking about the show earlier, and I feel it's all collapsing on each other. Your show is a hard conservative comedy show, right? Where you talk about Trump stuff.
His YouTube show. I was gonna say
right.
you should start posting videos as him, as Matt Struck. just do your normal stuff. Just wear a MAGA hat.
Right, yeah.
Just us piggyback on all of his followers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone messaged me and they're like, hey, someone on Twitter stole your identity, and they're really conservative. And it turns out they didn't steal my identity. They're actually more popular than me. So if anything, I'm the one trying to steal
usurper.
a brand or whatever.
That's awesome.
You're the other Struck.
Right, yeah. I'm the imposter. When they kick open the door and they're like, which one's the real Matt Struck? And they point the gun back and forth, I'm the one that's going to get shot. Clone. Bam.
Yep, that's you.
I tell you what, let's continue the plug train.
Yeah.
Gabriel, where can people find you?
Listeners, please check out the other Top Gallant radio show. It is Sex and Violence, your weekly punk rock movie podcast, where Ryan Snyder and I discuss grody, sexy, and violent films from today and yesterday. Search for on iTunes at Sex Plus Violence. Search for on Stitcher at Sex and Violence, the word and. It's a great time. We're going to be doing our summertime movie marathon, where we cover only movies about working in kitchens. So it's going to be very exciting.
Hey.
I believe you're kicking it off with Chef, or
Kicking it down.
maybe Jiro Dreams of Sushi with you, Daniel.
Hey. I
Besides
remember
that, follow me on Instagram at BabyMara5As. Follow Sex and Violence at Sex and Violence Pod. And besides that, book me to bartend your party.
Bookbee?
Book me.
Okay. Speaking of all that food talk, you will be able to find my latest piece of fiction free on Friday?
I paid for it.
What?
Question mark? I think that's because I haven't actually scheduled it yet, but we'll see.
Matt, buy Daniel's book.
The first part of A Cook in the Kingdom, Arise, Ye Princes, will be available that day. The story that's all about food makers and gross people and who love nobility.
Sirens.
Oh shit, Policia!
Yeah. The coffee shop employees had enough.
They're done on the sweaty man, their lot.
I mean, granted, I didn't have to take my clothes off, but whatever. It's a podcast. I figured, who cares? They can't tell.
You'll be fine.
Granted, you're actually sitting in a cart with a massive dent covered in blood.
Right? Yeah. Right.
But yeah, go check that out. It's available presently on Amazon right now, and I'm hard at work at doing the second part of that. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Top Gallant Radio.
You're back on Twitter?
Well, I've always been on Twitter. Haven't been doing anything.
I mean, that's what I meant.
I retweeted a couple things.
Hey, that's a good start.
It's all unfortunately just like the political things that I was like, yeah, that one.
Sure.
See the one about like
I'm not on Twitter.
The one company like a warehouse fired 2 Mexicans and everybody left. It was really cool. Anyway, sorry.
Nice.
But
solidarity.
Hey.
And it's great. No, you could do that, and you can follow the Slow Readers Instagram where I'm much more active.
Yeah.
Because technically I'm treating that one like it's the Top Gallant Radio one, but
You should
whatever.
do both.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Nice.
And yeah, I think that's the thing.
That's about it.
We're
Cool.
all plugged out. Fuck, I'm tired.
I'm exhausted. Matt, once again, thank you for being on our show. You were a joy and a pleasure to be on. And we can't wait to have you back on.
The second thank you.
Yeah, we'll do it again, and I'll bring my notes, and I'll sleep, and I'll eat.
And hopefully you won't be recording in a car parked outside of a closed cafe.
Well, next episode, you guys will be like, where are you recording from? I'm like, well, I'm in the back of a lift, but it's not too bad because it's a lift share.
We should do a series every time. It's just like, where are you? I'm on the run.
Matt, if you want to bring any fun questions or bits for us, all the better. Until then,
stay frosty.
Stay frosty.
I feel like
Ooh, yeah. I like that. Is that your normal goodbye tagline?
No, not at all.
We don't have
just
one.
Freestyle it every time.
Pretty much.
We are 69-ish episodes. I think this is episode 69 to be honest.
Nice.
We have 69 episodes, and I always remember, or it suddenly hits me at the end. I was like, oh, we don't have a sign off.
We really don't.
Right.
So. Fuck you all out there, you fucking jack-offs.
Thanks for listening. Keep on
Someone needs to flush this scum down the drain.
Jesus. All right, bye.
It's a taxi driver. I don't like taxi drivers.
You should. Bye.
Bye.
All right, bye. See ya.
This has been a Top Gallant Radio production, executive produced by Daniel Reichel and Gabriel Mara. For more podcasting content, go to topgallantradio.com.